Welcome to Unit 2 for the third graders and interdependent relationships in ecosystems. In this unit, your driving question is going to be, do animals meet their individual needs in the same way? So we're going to be looking at the individual characteristics of animals and how they adapt to their environment and live in their habitat. And why are animal and animal habitat conservation so important to the well-being of the planet? So we're going to look at why it's important that we preserve the habitats that animals live in. Some of the key unit vocabulary that you're going to be looking at throughout the unit and hopefully learning a little bit about each week are going to be the law of superposition, fossils, conservation, adaptation, and habitats. Next, on the next couple slides, you'll see the different standards, and I'm not going to read those out loud, but you can read through those if you like. These are the standards that you'll be assessed on throughout the unit, and eventually will show up in Mastery Connect. The first page here is science standards. After that, there are going to be other standards. Some of the outcomes and goals for the whole unit that you're going to be able to complete is I'll be able to describe animal adaptations and give specific examples of what those adaptations are. You'll also be able to describe different animal habitats and create an accurate depiction of at least one of those habitats. You'll be creating that through a diorama format. You'll also be able to synthesize what types of animals live in certain areas, long ago based upon observations and artifacts. And with that, you'll also be learning the law of superposition and how fossils work into that concept. And lastly, you'll be able to describe changes in the land and how those changes may or may not affect certain animals. And those could be natural changes, such as erosion, or those could be human changes. Your unit writing masterpiece is going to be writing an opinion piece about animal or land conservation. Animal and land conservation are incredibly important to the well-being of our planet and to the success of our planet. If we take certain pieces of our ecosystems away from our planet, the planet may fail. For example, if we were to take plants away, or certain plants away, we wouldn't have replenished oxygen and energy, which comes from the sun. If we take certain animals away, other animals may prevail, which could be dangerous or unhealthy for our habitat. So this unit, you're going to be looking at why it's so important to keep everything intact. Your instructions for week 1, you're going to be looking at the law of superposition. The law of superposition basically describes that the layers of the Earth that are furthest down are going to be the oldest. So if we were to think of the Grand Canyon and how you can see those striated layers, and striated is a very key word, so those different lines of layers of different colors, and you can sort of see a depiction here. The ones at the very bottom are going to be the oldest, and the ones at the top are going to be the very newest. The first thing that I want you to do is you're going to create a Google document titled Law of Superposition. Then you're going to watch this YouTube video on the dating of rocks, which is going to talk about the law of superposition and finding different fossils within those. Then you're going to look at the picture right here. On your document, I want you to answer which letter you think would be the youngest and how you know that, and you can use what you've learned from the YouTube video and what I've explained today, and which would be the oldest and how you know that. Make sure you're writing in complete sentences. Then I want you to log into Discovery Education, and to do that, make sure you're at waukesha-discoveryeducation.com, and then you're going to use your username and password from school, and watch the video to the right here called Exploring Fossils. Then on that Google document titled Law of Superposition, I want you to write a 7 to 10 sentence synopsis or conclusion that you make as to what fossils can tell us about the past. Make sure that you think about and write about how fossils are formed, as well as what specific fossils and specific places would mean. For example, if you were to find in your backyard a trilobite fossil or a seashell fossil, what would that tell you possibly about our past and where you live? For your math connection this week, you're going to be measuring, very simply, the different layers in the picture here. So I want you to create a Google document called Math Connections Unit 2 and measure the 5 different layers. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. On the document, state which layer you are measuring. So the youngest would be labeled youngest, the second youngest would be the second one, third youngest, fourth youngest, and oldest, or something of that sort where I could see it. And write down the measurement of each layer to the nearest quarter inch. The big thing about this one is you can either print out the slide and measure it that way, or if you want to measure it on your screen, you can do that as well. For your writing connection this week, you're going to be starting some of the research on your animal. with that, you're going to be creating another literature review matrix, which should be set up just like the one from the last unit, which would be on your Aurora Borealis. You're going to have a chart that is 4 by 5, so 4 across and 5 down. The first column is the citation, so you're going to be using EasyBib for that. And again, once you go to EasyBib, you can do websites or books, and if you put it in the search box here, it should find it, but make sure you use the exact citation and you're in either MLA or APA. Either one works for me. Then you are going to, in the second column, write your key takeaways. Your third column is going to be what you learned, so those are going to be factual things, as compared to key takeaways, which are going to be more of inferences or things that you thought of while reading or viewing. And then lastly are going to be any further questions that you have that could help you. This week, what I'd like you to do is find one video source and one literature source, so 2 sources total, on an animal of your choosing. If you're struggling to choose an animal, go to the site listed there, and you can look and find an animal that you're interested in. This is a great site to use because it has many, many, many different animals. It's called A to Z Animals, and if you click the link, it'll actually take you to pretty much all of the animals. So use that. You can choose something that you're very interested in, or you could choose something that's more obscure or relatively unknown. Just make sure that there's enough information for you to actually